Okay, hello, greetings and welcome everyone. Now, a little bit of revision on the 12 stages of entering into Akasha or Wuji in the Taoist terms. This is really the goal. If you can understand how to get into the Akasha, you can get into the non-dual light body, and you're achieving the equivalent of the early stages of Zen enlightenment, touching the light of the mind. This development process is all about the cultivation of stillness. Stillness is the lack of static or vibration mentally, astrally, and physically, and it allows you to touch infinity and touch the nature of your own mind. All right, so these 12 stages, they're not exactly stages, but it's just a rough categorization. The first is an equivalent to what Buddhism will call vipassana, observing the rising, fall and way of bodily sensations, feelings, mind qualities, and phenomena. So the four foundations of mindfulness. When we look at it from the Hermetic view, we start with just watching our thoughts rise and fall away. Now, so it's a mental body training. As you observe your thoughts rise and fall away, you find you get a natural gap between the observer and the observed. So this gap is formed by stillness accumulating underneath the observer, which generates a greater space between the observer and the observed. So you're basically, by watching your thoughts rise and fall away, the mind becomes still. As the mind becomes still, it's a sign, Akasha is accumulating underneath the mind because there's greater and greater levels of stillness. Whenever the mind concentrates in any way, shape, or form, the increased concentration means increased Akasha. And this is how we know right concentration. How much Akasha is accumulating underneath the mind? How much stillness can we measure within our perception of what we're doing? So the first exercise, observing the rising, fall and wave thoughts. It will extend to observing the feelings, creating space, observing the body, creating space, and so forth, and observing your environment, creating space. But initially it's in the mind gate, and we don't want to engage any other sense gates, just the mind gate itself. Then from there we move into one-pointed concentration, where we select a meditation object and we simply observe the object. So we're not taking in the whole environment and what's arising, falling away in and around you, but you just take one object and you observe it. So this creates a sharpness within the mind, a much deeper focus. And the type of stillness which arises, it's much more like a blade. It's much more directed. And the stillness has a slight glassiness to it, where the stillness arising from observing the rising, fall and wave thoughts and the vipassana, it has almost a type of soft love underneath it. So these two are vastly different. Now, as you develop these two different types of stillness, as you get sensitive, you'll differentiate, this is a different type of stillness which is arising. Now, one would say, well, stillness is simply an absence of static. How can there be different types of stillness? But the Akashic blueprint of the form that you're looking at is reflective of the form. So the stillness, it's reflective of what you're actually looking at. So we have many different types of stillness. When you move into the etheric Akashic blueprint of something, it's extremely quiet and still, but that blueprint still has qualities. And this is what we call Akashic sensitivity, where you're engaging the Akasha of something and being sensitive to it from its essence, from its root, from its cause. What makes the particles vibrate in and out of emptiness to give form to that underlying blueprint. It's a sensitivity. So we want to develop that sensitivity by differentiating different types of stillness. And this is what allows you to start engaging and understanding what Akasha or Wuji actually is. So that's the second exercise. The third exercise is what I just talked about, differentiation. You observe more the stillness itself of these first two exercises of observing and engaging, and from that observing process you start to develop not only the sensitivity of different types of stillness, but a profound appreciation for the letting go that happens when you simply sit quietly and you identify, I am the stillness. And as you identify with that, your consciousness starts shifting towards a much deeper level of quietude. Your personality settles, your astral feelings settle. You become much more in love with yourself rather than in love with your outside environment. There's less looking outward and more contentedness with what is inward, when the mind just simply lets go of the static and loses addiction to the sense objects. So that's the third step. Now, as an extension of this third step, it's not one of the stages, but it's an essential part of life as a practicer, is the integration of these two qualities into day-to-day life. When you're concentrating on doing something, it's one-pointed. But at the same time, you have environmental awareness, aware of other people, other factors. So you're blending this Vipassana and Samadhi paths together to function in the world. So that's a natural extension of those first three exercises in natural application. Now the fourth step is the imagination exercise. It's a mental training, but this mental training is focused primarily on the feeling game. So we want to master the four element qualities, imagining heat and expansion and power, imagining coolness, magnetic attraction, and that cohesive power of the water element, of magnetism. Then we want to master the sense of buoyancy and lightness in the body and the mind with the air principle, to make your body feel like it's floating in the air, levitating. And the earth element, pay attention to gravity, how gravity acts on form, how it allows everything to generate cohesion and for things to come into manifestation. Without gravity, life can't evolve and grow. So it's gravity dependent. And this is the earth principle. And we want to do the mental training exercises for the four elements and imagine each one of these qualities really, really well. You want to master that within the mental mind experience. That's your fourth step. Now your fifth step is working with vital energy, vital breathing. Now, as you learn to vital breathe, normally these first four steps training are all done simultaneously. You know, you're setting a timer, doing the first, the second, the third, and the fourth, and running them through as a continuity pattern. When we get into the fifth step of vital breathing, we're doing the exercises like building the ball. So what does building the ball give you? It gives you hand sensitivity. What does whole body pore breathing give you? It gives you body sensitivity to energy. What do the throwing exercises give you? It opens the body. You do boop boop. Yeah, and so as we go through this life force breathing process, we have the power stretching. What does the power stretching do? The power stretching, it has a type of connecting effect while releasing deep tension and loosening, softening your body around the joints. So when you throw, you force connection and you throw tension out of the body. We've covered 4 different ways of doing this. When you power stretch, you connect and release tension around. So you put these two together and you get a profound type of softening within the body. All right, so from this, these throwing exercises and power stretching exercises, then we do Master Wong's 5 loosening exercises. So what does the loosening do? It softens the body. If you're involved in push hands, we do the push hands exercises on the first stage to find hidden tension, to deepen the softening. Why do we want to do this? Because when we generate this deeper softening, we get a very, very profound potential for conductivity. Then we look at the bathroom scale exercise, where you put your knuckles on the bathroom scale or your palm, and you connect and open all the joints. It's a connection exercise. It connects the fascia. It connects your body weight onto your hand, your elbow, or your knee, or your shoulder, wherever you want to connect your mass to generate the power. And then we have the exercises where you throw and stretch. These are connection exercises. When you throw the energy out, and then on the end you do a power stretch for 3 seconds, you'll notice the throw opens the fascia up, and then the power stretch connects and amplifies connectivity. So as we go through all these Qigong exercises, and we have things like bone marrow breathing, washing the marrow, and so forth, we can start unlocking various forms of tension out of the body. Now, when you compile all the different types of Qigong exercises, we have a range of very, very cool side effects. You need to journal all these. This life force training leads into life force body. So the life force body, the vital body awareness. It generates vital field awareness as you pay attention to the stillness. You release space and you go into the space of the form of that living energy. And there's living mind awareness. So we go from the body to the field to the mind substance of it. And there's these 3 stages that we clearly go through on all the different energy bodies. The body itself, the field it vibrates on, and the mind substance underlying its existence. And this life force level allows you to start working with the elements, and it allows you to do the first transformation, enter the astral world. Okay, so this 6th level. So number 5 we have working with vital energy. Number 6 is working with astral energy. So we call this the first transformation. We do the 4-cycle breath, the tuning the breath exercises, and this exercise, this level, is a preliminary exercise for transforming between the vital body and the astral body to create a bridge. You're creating an astral matrix bridge for energy to move up and down. What this allows you to do is to develop an ability to work with the elements. You can't actually work with the elements unless you can transform energy between the vital and astral body, because there's no bridge for the elements to manifest. It'll be a long, slow process. If you're just doing imagination exercises, you need to be doing transformation exercises. A vastly different thing. Okay, so now as we move into the next step, which is the element breathing exercises. The element breathing exercises are our foundation. This is what allows you to work with your black and white mirror efficiently. So as you practice breathing the fire, the air, the water, and the earth, you get a very deep sense of how would you put it, ease within all the other practices that you're doing. Everything becomes easier and easier. So let's say if you're doing vital energy breathing and you've been working with the elements for a few months, you'll notice the electric and the magnetic ends of the spectrum become easier to work with. And because they're easier to work with, you have more vital energy because there's more contrast between electric and magnetic, between yin and yang. So more energy is vibrating, you feel more power. If you're doing imagination exercises, the mental imagery becomes more vivid because the vital power is greater. So the vital energy animates the images in your mind's eye, and those exercises just become easier. So this working with the astral elements and vital energy make a whole spectrum of things easy to do within the initiation process. So we want to master this. From there, we do black and white mirror work. We start going through the personality plus as a chart as a starting point, and what that allows you to do is start reflecting on who am I? What personality traits dominate my experience? And looking at different types of psychology for the black and white mirror. Yeah. So as you tune into your fire qualities and your personality, absorb them into the fire element, transform them into willpower, and so forth with each of the elements, you're generating a unconscious control of the element, which gives you unconscious potential for stillness underneath the element, which is the equanimity, the magical equilibrium we're looking for, necessary for Akasha work. And you do that with each element in your mirror. From the mirror, we go into putting the 4 elements into the 4 regions. So fire in the head, air in the chest, water in the belly region, and earth into the legs. And you meditate on equanimity of each region in conjunction with meditating on equanimity of the elements in relation to each other. Well, just working with an element on its own makes it balanced within itself. Putting the 4 elements in the 4 regions balance the elements in relation to each other. G'day. So this process of balancing the elements in relation to each other is critical, because what this allows you to do is soften your mind into the solar plexus. You have the active elements above the solar plexus and the passive elements below the solar plexus. This depth point or meeting point of the elements is the stillest, most quietest part of your body. So as you relax your mind into that area, you find you have a natural ability to sink and be quiet, where the mind just collapses in on itself and you become smaller and smaller and smaller. Here the idea is that your mental flexibility should be at a point now where you can just collapse your mind into itself to a particle level. What do we know about particles? They're appearing and disappearing. So you'll start fluxing in and out of Akasha. Half the time they're in form and the other half the time they're in Akasha, 50-50. So what do we know about this? You'll start experiencing a deeper level of stillness, because half you is now in Akasha and the half you is paying attention to form. You are now standing on the fence of Akasha. Now, where do you pay your attention? Do you pay your attention to the form, or do you pay your attention to underlying infinity? Of course, we pay attention to the infinity inside the sinking feeling, and we let our mind become, instead of 50-50 form emptiness, we become more empty, 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 and we pay attention to that more so. Now from there, we are going into what we would call the door to Akasha. Now this infinity quality, we want to familiarize ourselves with it on a very deep unconscious level. And this is essential, that it just becomes, that infinity quality. Now we start pore breathing it. You breathe it in the pores, out the pores. Psychically, when you look at the Akasha or an accumulation of Akasha, it's dark violet in color, near black. So you just associate this color with it, so that next time you want to Akasha breathe, you remember the feeling, you remember the color, and you pore breathe it, and you accumulate more Akasha underlying your mental, astral, and physical body. And this Akasha breathing process lays one of the foundations for working with Akasha and entering into Wuji. After about 100 hours of this practice, you'll find a very, very deep sense of comfort inside your Akashic awareness. And during this process, you'll start to recognize your own mind substance. In the Akasha, underneath the Akashic blueprint of your mind substance, is light. It's a pure non-dual light. It's a vibrational match to God. And this divine light is, when people experience this, it can come through as a bursting, it can come through as touching God, knowing God, feeling God. And people will very often reflect astrally and want to tell everyone, I've met God, I'm one with God, and I'm developing a relationship with my Savior, or Christ consciousness. And you'll have all these different types of astral reflections that start coming out of this relationship to the non-dual light body. It's best just to leave that and be silent, observe it, and just quietly move beyond it. This deepening process can't happen if there's too much astral emotional investment inside of the experience. If you experience it and you yearn to talk about it, it condenses it astrally and blocks you from further development, and it becomes a very long road. If you're released of it, then you can continue to move and develop higher layers of these non-dual light bodies, and the ascension process becomes self-evident. Okay, so each one of these stages, from the beginning right through, has a degree of critical mass inside of it. When you observe the rising full wave thoughts and cultivate stillness, the stillness has a critical mass of its own. It just rides that exercise, and that's what says, I'm a master of this. I hit the critical mass of the stillness within the exercise. And that goes through every single one of these stages. You need to hit critical mass to deepen it. Now, many of these exercises can be done simultaneously. You don't have to do it in a linear progression. What you will find when you start moving towards this light stage is a deep sense of prayer. The spirit qualities of the quadrupolar magnet, the sense of oneness with divinity, and that prayer is entered through a profound sense of stillness and reverence. We have a vibrational scale for this light body. And this vibrational scale looks at, when you enter into prayer, how much humility is there? Your base chakra. Navel chakra, how much devotion to your spiritual path is there? And then solar plexus, how much reverence is there? Heart, how much sacredness is there? Throat, how much stillness is there? Third eye, how much divine light resonance is there? Crown, how much universal consciousness is awakening through prayer? So you can create a vibrational scale through the 7 chakra model and look at the state of your experience and know where you're at. If each one of these qualities hasn't flowered yet, then you know you have work to do. So this is how we enter into Wuji, enter into Akasha, and we enter into the workshop of God through these 12 stages. Now, when you break these stages down and start to analyze them and think about them, you can. I'll put some an outline of these in the description of this video, so that you can read through. And if any of you have done notes or bullet points on any of the videos for YouTube, I'm not sure whether Vimeo has that. It might have that as well. I'll have to check, but definitely has it in description for the videos on YouTube. Just send them to me. Tell me the name of the video, and I'll add them into the description for other people to be able to look at other people's notes. So if you want to add anything, just let me know, and I can put it in for the different videos. And for these types of videos, it's good to intellectually break down these stages so that you can get deeper penetration and insight into what you're doing. Okay, so I hope this helps people with understanding Wuji, Akasha, and the stages of how you cultivate different types of stillness, how we're using the feeling gate to enter Akasha. And after you've done that with the feeling gate, then you can redo the process with the other gates. So we're doing feeling and insight gate together, and then the other sense gates come later. This is the fastest way to enter it, because everybody can tune the feeling gate. Not everyone can do the other gates. Okay, thank you for your time, and I will see you guys on the next video, and girls.